Hey gamers, today we're going to look at the Aboriculture expansion for Viticulture and the 9 promo cards that came in the original orders of Tuscany. Let's check them out. Okay, so the first expansion I'm going to show you is the little cheese expansion. You would use this side of the board, attach it here to your main board. You're going to put these little cow meeples right here in the trader post here, and whenever someone puts one of their workers here, they may trade for any one of those resources to grab a cow. And when they get a cow, they can put it over here in its little cow pasture. Now each player can have a maximum of up to 4 cows. Once you have a cow here, you may place another worker here to make cheese, and you can make 1 cheese per cow token, so the maximum cheese you can make is 4. And you would use just the little glass beads that come in the game and pick which cheese you'd like to make. Mozzarella, Fontina, Oregano, or Bito, I'm guessing is their names, and then you would just put it in the 1 marker right there. Now just like wine, every year these things will age, and if it gets to the green cheese, as you see mozzarella only has 1 year to age, if it gets to the green cheese, then it's no good. It's gone bad and you have to throw it away. So you need to watch and make sure that your cheese doesn't age too much to where it gets stinky and you have to throw it away. Now, as you see, there is another seller upgrade here. So for 4 coins, you can go ahead and buy this little upgrade here, place it here, and now you have enough for the 2 bottom cheeses to age a little bit longer before going bad. So for instance, if they were going to age 1 more, the Bito was, it would go from here, skip over that stinky cheese, and go here during its next aging process. Now in addition to that, there are 3 areas here where you may place stars. So whenever you go to this area or any other area that allows you to place a star on the score track here on the big board, instead of putting it on the score track, you can put it on your own player board. And each one of these give you special abilities. So if you look at this, if you place a star here, you can control a type of cheese from aging, 1 type, either 0, meaning it won't age at all, or you move it up 2 times. So for instance, if I had some mozzarella and I didn't want it to age, I could place a star here, and as I have a star here, one of my cheeses will not get to age. And say, okay, you know what, every cheese is aging but mozzarella, that's going to stay good, and then I age all my other cheeses. Or I could say, you know what, I'm going to make this cheese age, it's going to age 1, but I'm going to make it age twice right there, just to make it age a little bit faster. Maybe, especially if I have the extra building there, I can make it age faster there and get some points at the end. Now, the next spot here is the cheesemonger. If you put 1 here, it allows you to sell a cheese for 1 victory point. So I could sell any of my cheeses in my storage room for 1 victory point on the victory point tracker. Or if I put a star here, then I can add cheese to an order and get the victory points. Now the victory points are in the number of cheese added to whatever the wine card is. So if the wine card is a 5 and I give this Regino, whatever it is, Regino, a number 3 here, then it'd be 5 plus 3, and that would give me 8 victory points instead. So I could, and only once per year, because I do this, I couldn't sell, if I was filling multiple orders in a turn, I couldn't sell them both with cheese. Only 1 order could be sold with cheese, but that can give you a lot of bonus points, especially the Bito, which can be aged up to 4 additional points here. So cheese can give you some great points in the game. Now, that's 1 half of the game. The other half, you would flip this player board over, and I know these things are little cheap, little plastic, paper it looks like, but actually it is really good quality here. I mean, really good, like plastic quality. Anyway, so you flip the board over, and this is a different game you would play. You'd start with a heart token, place it right there in the middle, and then of course you have some areas to play, and of course these little warehouses that hold apples, tomato sauce, and olive oil. Now the only thing that changes on the main board here is where you would usually draw some vine cards, you would place these brown cards here. And the brown cards come in different kinds. You can grow tomato vines, you can grow apple trees, or you can grow olive trees. And you can grab one of these instead of one of the vine cards when you play in that area. Now when you plant one of these three, you can plant them in any one of these fields and don't have to worry about the max amount since they don't have any amounts on there. You can place them wherever you want and ignore the max amount of these. So you can have 2 apple trees and 5 different types of grapes in this field and be okay. But anyway, you place them out in the fields, and whenever you harvest them, you'll grab glass beads for them. Apples will go right here in the storage room. You'll just pick them and put them straight in your storage room. Of course, you can have a max of 3. Any tomatoes you pick from your tomato vine will go into the refinery right there. And any olives that you plant off your olive vines, you push over here. Now, these are all little worker placement items here. First off, if you go to make tomato sauce, well, guess what? You take one of the tomatoes in the refinery, put it there, and you just made tomato sauce. Tomato sauce can be sold for with one order of wine for an additional bonus point, and you can have up to 2 in your storage room. Also, you could go here and to make olive oil, take one of these olives and put it over here in this space. Of course, you can only have 1 olive oil in your storage room at a time, and it's worth 2 victory points when sold with wine. So you can sell these with wine and make points. Another cool thing you can do is you have a cask here. If you put a man by the cask, you can increase any value of wine in stores. So I move this 2 to a 3. Now, another thing you can do, and this is a big part of the game, is you can go to leisure and increase your heart to 1. What does this heart do? Well, every time you play your grande worker, this heart is going to move down. So every round it's going to move down. Now, if you ever end the round and at the very bottom, you're going to lose a victory point. Now, how are ways to avoid losing victory points? Well, just like I told you, you can place a worker here and get leisure and increase it by 1. But what you can also do is you can sell or give away apples, tomato sauce, olive oil, or even bottles of wine from your storage room and increase your happiness after you let go of each one. So if I let go of those 3, I'd go up 1, 2, 3. I'm 1 away, so if I give away this bottled wine, boom, I'm up here. Now if I end the turn up here, then I'm going to get +1 victory point because all my workers are super happy. And like I said, every time you place the grande worker, it will slowly move down this track. So you need to watch the rounds because pretty soon you're going to be fighting to avoid that -1 unless you sell something in your warehouse or some bottled wine. Now the last little mini expansion I'm going to talk about is the 9 builder promo cards that come with the Tuscany game. If you got it pre-ordered, right now they're on MeepleSource. But I'm just going to go through these very briefly here. First off, you got, and I'm going to butcher these names here, the Summoner. And basically what you're doing is whenever you play on an action space, any other people that are on that little area, you get to move up your wine bottles in your storage room X amount of spaces. So for instance, including the Summer, if I placed up here and there were 3 other players here, I would go 1, 2, 3 on any one of my wines. So 1, 2, you know, I could move this wine up 1, this wine up 1, and this wine up 1 if I wanted to. It's pretty good ability there. Mama Grande is great. Every time you place her, she works like a grande worker, except when she places on the same action on the board as another player, you gain 1 victory point. So she's really awesome to have. The storyteller is really cool. When you play the storyteller on a place, everyone in that season has to come over to that one area. They don't get to take the action, but it pulls them away from areas maybe that you want to play next time on. And so you can clear off some areas that have already been played on if you get blocked out. I love this card. The next one's the Alchemist. What you can do, you can switch one of your grapes on your crush pad, 1 for 1, like of equal or less value. So maybe, man, I got a 4 white, but I really need a 4 red. Well, you can switch out that white and make it a red if you have the Alchemist. So pretty cool one there too. The Builder basically gives you a -2 per structure, which is really nice when you go to the build 1 structure action. The Apprentice basically gives you back-to-back actions. When you place the Apprentice, you can place your grande worker on there and do the same action twice. So if you want to go ahead and do back-to-back actions like selling wine or something, that'd be really good. The next one's the Vagabond. I love this one. Basically, you're just going to lay them horizontally and cover up 2 open action spaces. Ignore player count restrictions. So if this little area is not being counted, you could go ahead and place them horizontal, lay him on both of them. He's going to get even the bonus action there as well and tie up 2, even though maybe that spot may not be available. He gets to get both of them. So pretty neat, the Vagabond. And the Martyr, basically, if you remove him from the game, you remove him from the game, you can immediately place all of your workers in that current season. So you want to dominate the season, go ahead, sacrifice your martyr, and then place the rest of your men in that season wherever you want. Pretty good card. Pretty interesting. And finally, you have the salesman here. After using the salesman to fill a wine order, you can fill an additional or action with visual card that says you may pay $2 and fill in a second wine order if you want to. So basically gives you back-to-back wine action cards. And those are all the mini expansions to the game. Okay, time for final thoughts. I do not have the box. There is no box for Boardgame, I guess that's how you pronounce it, because it came in a bag. That is from Print and Play Games. You can find the actual expansion for only $150, but to be honest, that Print and Play expansion is beautiful and only costs $17 plus shipping. It's well worth your money. Same thing for the promo cards. The 9 Tuscany promo cards you originally got when you ordered Tuscany for the first time is available through Meeple Source, and I think they're $5 plus shipping, but both of them are well worth your time to get. Now the big question, should you get them? Well, for the special worker cards, yeah, if you like Viticulture, these 9 special worker cards are really cool. I love them to death. I played with most of them in the games we played, not all of them, but from what I've read, there's a strategy involved with each one, and I really do like them. Of course, Mama Grande being the biggest one. When we saw her, we're like, what? Everyone's freaking out. But anyway, yeah, definitely I would go for that. It's only $5. And then for $17, you get the other 2 expansions? Yes, totally. Which one? I kind of have to rank these, right? The cheese I probably like a little bit less, I think. When we play with the cheese expansion, it's hard to get it started. Meaning you got to get cows, and you got to remember to produce cheese, but you want to produce cheese just right so you can sell with your wine to make a lot of money. And it's just, it may be more hassle than what it's worth. I'm not sure yet, even though placing those stars in those areas to get those special abilities, I love that. I absolutely love that. Because now, I mean, I did sell some cheese for victory points. And so I got a few victory points that way. So for anything else, it's worth getting the victory points for. I never paired it up with wine. I just either forgot about it or at the time didn't have any cheese for the longest it took me. I got the cows very early and just forgot to make cheese. So you can forget about it. So flipping it around, even though I love the stars. So the cheese probably be second. The first place one is the one where you're trying to make all the workers happy. Man, I love that one. Every time you place a grande worker, it's going to move down. So it makes you move and play on that board. At least to have some recreation so you can move it back up. If you let that thing go too long, you will be constantly having to waste a worker just to keep your group happy, because that grande worker is going to keep dragging it down. You don't want that -1 victory point. At the same time, if you do put some effort into it, meaning growing some apple trees, some tomato and olive vines, and harvesting them, and then later on put some extra workers out there to kind of crush, some tomato juice and olive oil together, it may be worth it. I used it to sell wine, which I loved, and I gave it away to my employees and actually moved that marker all the way up to where at the very end I was making a point every other round. And even though you think, well, man, that's a lot of work to keep it with 1 victory point, selling the olive oil and the tomato juice for wine was really cool, and just reaping them in, gathering those is like extra bonuses when you do a harvest. So to be honest, it was really cool. Sure, you have to, and of course there's the cask action too on that one, where you can age your wine, which you will be using to try to get to certain, wine orders. So there is a whole lot going on with that expansion, and that's probably why I loved it a little bit more. Now the cheese one is easy to, to keep up with. The upkeep on it is very minimal. There's only 1 worker spot, which is make cheese. Other than that, you just need to be sure to plant those stars there. Again, I love it because it has the stars area, but it's not as much. Would I introduce any of these expansions, the 2 expansions, in the base game with new players? No, I would not. Players who have played this game before, who want a little bit more, I do think it's worth it, especially for that money. Print and Play Games did a fantastic job giving you the little bits and pieces needed for this expansion without having to pay the enormous cost. So well worth your time. All right, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. Until next time, game on.